me a couple more moments, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to get started. I just need to get my drink. How to talk about some important stuff. Make sure you hit that like, drop a comment, subscribe, and share. Make sure you're not going to warn anyone today. We got to really talk about some real things. Yo. It's your boy, the insurance junkie, your fiduciary fella, the all-star advisor Alonzo Hall, your social media insurance bro and registered financial consultant. Here again today to weapon tap on your head with another ADH Wealth Solution. In celebration of the last day of Black History Month, which should be something that continues continuously throughout the year, hence my black sign of the logo of the IARFC, International Association of Registered Financial Consultants, hence why I'm Alonzo Hall, RFC, a registered financial consultant. And we're going to talk to you about lessons in Black history that you never got. So, ladies and gentlemen, all too often we hear folks talking about Black Wall Street. And Black Wall Street was a real thing. Salute to Marvel and Black Panther and Killmonger and all those. Blue Marvel, who is probably the most powerful Marvel character, who's a black man, and Icon, who's probably the most powerful DC character, who's a black man. Has the same but more powers than Superman and can probably match Superman pound for pound, and you know he gets his power from the sun. So, we often talk about Black Wall Street being Tulsa, Oklahoma, right? Now, we also talk about people in the Black diaspora who unfortunately do this thing called affinity fraud because, hey, you're black like me, so maybe you understand this, that, and the third. And, you know, what did they say? The path to hell is paved with good intentions. So that often happens too much. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to try and keep this fairly brief today. Maybe a maximum of an hour, but ladies and gents, you know how I do. When I get to teaching, I get the passionate. So some things have changed. Salute to K Business Podcast. If you have not followed this man, I suggest and recommend you follow this man. No, he is not FBA. He's what they call a tether, right? But he's black like me, right? Now, the reality is in America, it's very difficult to understand. I understand the delineations. I don't think he has an issue with the delineations when it comes to certain things. But overall, when it comes to business, we got to start working together. And because people like us are grouped together from others, we have to start looking at things a certain way, right? I'm from New Haven, Connecticut. Did you know that? I'm sure everyone's seen the movie The Amistad. And guess what? Amistad landed here in New Haven, Connecticut first. Give us free. Good God, my wife is making hamburgers or cheeseburgers, and it smells so good right now. So, I'm going to go through an outline of some of the stuff that I'm going to talk with you guys today about. So the first thing I want to do is I want to pull up a little bit of a picture for you guys really quick. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can pull this picture up for you. Because this picture is going to be the thumbnail once I finish this live. Let me see if I can share screen. Where is it? Window. So if you ladies and gentlemen can see this, it says Black History That You Never Got. All right? You said, don't blow my camera eyes in here, bro. So if you look here, right, and this is not the right photo. Hold on. This is not the right photo. There's supposed to be a different photo. Let me see if I can download the proper photo, because this is not the right photo. This is last week's photo. Let me see if I can upload this week's photo. Well, not last week's photo, but last live's photo. Here's the new photo. Yeah, here we go. I'll download this. Let me upload this recent photo that's going to go on this live for us. And we will go from there. Now, like I said, I'm going to try to keep this brief. But ladies and gentlemen, make sure to hit the like, drop comments, subscribe, share, because this is very important information that our folks need, right? Let me share this window one more time because the window did not get shared the right way. Oh, boy, my computer is freezing. Oh, boy. Hold on. Okay, here we go. Something's not responding. Here we go. Entire screen window. Here we go. Share. Okay, so if you'll notice here, oh yeah, my computer is running slow. I gotta erase a bunch of stuff from this here computer. All right, so if you'll notice here, ATV, what's going on? So if you'll notice here, it says Black History Lessons You Never Got. So generally, Black Americans, when we talk about Black Wall Street, we talk about Tulsa, Oklahoma, maybe possibly Rosewood. Now, a lot of people talk crap about Trump because they're like, oh, well, what about the Central Park 5? Have you ever heard of Seneca Village? Well, Seneca Village was Africa Town. And we're going to go through all of that. Have you ever heard of Weeksville? That was a black town in Brooklyn, New York. Have you ever heard of the African Burial Ground? The real Black Wall Street. Because we're going to talk about all of that today. So let's go here. Why is I don't know why my camera is not showing. What's going on here? Let's close this window. There we go. All right, well, I don't particularly need the camera. You guys know what I look like. Here we go. So what we'll start with is I'm going to just read a brief overview of what I'm going to be going over with you guys. And then I will be sharing a little bit. So what I want to explain is that this is a series, right? So it's the architecture of extraction. So my argument is this, that New York City wasn't just a participant in the slave trade. And you guys know last week I did a lot about Dr. Michael Ralph. Let me see if my camera's coming back on. I don't know why my camera is not coming on, so we'll just turn it off. How about that? Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with my camera. Screw it. So Again, New York wasn't just a participant in the slave trade, it was the banker and the insurer of it. The very infrastructure of New York City, that means Wall Street, Central Park, and Brooklyn, is built on the displacement and monetization of Black bodies. Ladies and gentlemen, we often hear about things like the NFL Combine and the NBA Combine, where they go and they line up and they get measured and they got to do all these tests and run the 40-yard dash. You know what that was? That was original stock. That's why you hear that boys comes from good stock. Black folks were the stock market, not shares, not pips and dips. Black people were the original stock. So, if you think that slavery is a Southern story, we're going to get into it. Now, let's talk about why Wall Street is called Wall Street. Let's see if I can share my screen here. Share screen. So, let's continue. All right. Now, if you'll see here, what I'm showing you on this screen, let me take myself off. You see it says a sacred space in Manhattan, an African burial ground. Well, in 1991, during construction of a federal building at 290 Broadway, you know where they held El Chapo, where they held the trials for R. Kelly, where they held the trial for P. Diddy, where they hold many of the high-profile criminal cases that they put on the news for you? Well, workers, and remember, I'm a Wall Street dude. I told you my offices were 100 Broadway, 39 Broadway, 11 Broadway, and 40 Exchange Place. So I'm not like a lot of these other people in the financial services industry. You see, during the 2010s, I actually worked on Wall Street at 100 Broadway during the Occupy Wall Street movement. So when I talk about financial services, I'm talking about it from the standpoint of a person who was actually in that shit. Not just because of a certain licensure, because a lot of these licensures you don't know. All you need is a 70 to pass, and it is a multiple choice questionnaire. So a lot of people just pass because they guess right, but they don't know how to apply it in real life. That's why you see a lot of the stuff that I say will baffle the fuck out of a lot of these people who talk this nonsense, like Wall Street Trapper. Like your most local person who's telling you, yeah, we day trade. Okay, I got something coming up for that too. At any rate. So, in 1991, during the construction of a federal building at 290 Broadway, workers uncovered human remains. It halted construction and sparked a massive activist movement to preserve the site. That's interesting, right? Well, let's look at the scale. It's the largest and earliest known excavated burial ground in North America for both free and enslaved Africans. An estimated 15 to 20,000 people are buried there in a 6.6 acre area. Wait. You mean Broadway? You mean the financial district of New York City? You mean the financial capital of the fucking world is built on the backs of slaves? Dead slaves? Yeah, I curse, spit, smoke, and listen to gangster rap, but again, tell me anywhere else you found this. And I know a bunch of people. Shout out to Dr. Lamar Johnson, Lennon Honor, Taz the Goat, Ziax, Q Butter. None of them Negroes will say none of this shit because they ain't really concerned about it. So, or they're not educated about it is more apt. Because I tried to educate Taz on life insurance written by Dr. Michael Ralph. He ain't talking about that. He sure enough got a bunch of videos about motherfucking Anton Daniels. Anyway, pardon me. Salute to UK because you know I get off kilter sometimes. So thank you for keeping me intact. So, the condition of the bodies. Well, forensics, studied by a gentleman by the name of Dr. Michael Blakely, showed extreme physical trauma. Muscle attachments were ripped from bones due to heavy loads. Many had spinal fractures from carrying heavy weights. This proves that they were worked to death. Now, the disrespect. Think about this. Before the 1991 discovery, the city had simply paved over it. It was outside the city limits during the 17th century because African people were banned from being buried in churchyards within the city walls. Now let's look at the significance. It serves as the spiritual anchor of Black New York City. It proves that Africans were here building the city, foundational Black Americans, from the very beginning, since 1626. Now let's look at this website, A Sacred Space in Manhattan. The African burial, and I wrote something so that I can stay on point because you know I get passionate about this, folks. So there's actually a museum down there. Now I know a whole bunch of folks who ain't never been to it, just like a whole bunch of folks in my town in New Haven who don't go to the homicide thing. Yeah, New Haven. Bro, I live walking distance from that thing. I think I've shown it to you guys in other lives. When I go down there, you know what's down there? A bunch of Asian folks from Yale studying that shit. You know what's never down there? A bunch of Black folks. The African burial ground is the oldest and largest known excavated burial ground in North America for both free and enslaved Africans. It serves to protect and honor the historic role that slavery played in shaping New York's development. You can plan a trip, you can book a tour, you can look at the history, there's FAQs, there's a photo gallery, and there's events. Let's look at some of the photos. Celebrating Kwanzaa 2007. African Burial Ground, NM National Monument. African Burial National Monument visit. African Burial Ground. Howard University visit. Black History Month. Celebrating Kwanzaa 2016. Okay, so let's continue. Bear with me. I need to open another page here. Let me close that one out. Get back to you. Let me check out the comments here. See what you guys are saying. Kay laughed out loud. I understand. Thank you guys for being here again, ladies and gentlemen. You could have been anywhere else, but you wouldn't be getting this knowledge. So as you'll see, the price of life from slavery to corporate life insurance. We're not going to go there yet. I'm going to still continue to talk a little bit. So now let's look at the original stock market. Right? So the wall, the actual wall that Wall Street is named after was a fortification built in 1653 by enslaved Africans to protect Dutch settlers from Native Americans and the British. The official market. On December 13th, 1711, the New York City Common Council passed a law making the corner of Wall and Pearl Street the city's official slave market. It operated until 1762. The financial connection. Now remember, I told you guys this earlier because for some fucking reason, I know what the fuck I'm talking about, but people don't seem to think I do until I show them the evidence. So, the financial connection. Before stocks and companies were traded, people were traded. Remember that NFL Combine. Skilled Black laborers, The systems used to value, auction, and leverage debt on slaves became the blueprint for the modern stock market. Holy God, wait a second. Let me see if I can turn this camera back on. Holy God. Yeah, I don't know why my camera is not working. Did my camera get unplugged? I don't know what happened here. The NFL process is very weird. I don't know what happened with my camera here. Let me see what's going on here. All right, there we go. Can you guys hear me? No, you can't hear me. I can't hear me. All right, there we go. I'm back. I don't know what happened with this thing. It did whatever it did. All right. So, again, ladies and gentlemen, before stocks and companies were traded, people were traded. The systems used to value, auction, and leverage debt on slaves became the blueprint for the modern stock market. So now the rental system. It wasn't just for buying and selling, it was also for renting. Enslavers would send skilled black laborers to the market to be hired out for the day, with the wages going back to the enslaver. Now, we generally use that trope against Mexicans today. Oh, yeah, they're waiting down in our Home Depot to get to be day laborers. Black people do it a lot today. You would be surprised how many black men I see. Oh, I'm working temp jobs. Now, let's look at the corporate complicity. So many modern banks, predecessors to JP Morgan Chase, etc., accepted enslaved people as collateral for loans. If a plantation owner defaulted, the bank took ownership of the humans. Man, and this goes back to using life insurance as collateral. But again, you have so many people out there, and I have a video coming on that as well soon, who push life insurance like it's bullshit, as opposed to life event insurance, as opposed to stock, which, and it's not stock, it's not an investment, it's better than an investment. So now I want to show you guys this. Oh shit, hold on, add this to the stage. So it says the price of life from slavery to corporate life insurance. You see, coal embodies capitalism's most telling paradox, that the most lucrative industries are often the most dangerous. And from the days of slavery to the present, because I know a whole bunch of people thought that things didn't change, or, systemic racism isn't there. It is, but we have systems to combat it today. And from the days of slavery to the present, corporations have found ways to profit from the resulting deaths. Remember, I told you about COLI, corporate-owned life insurance. In the past decade, the coal mining region that runs from Ohio to West Virginia has logged nearly 1,000 cases of black lung disease. And this is written by, Dr. Michael Ralph. Right? So I'm not gonna read this whole thing because, I have a whole lot more to do. I'm gonna close that out for us. Let's go to the next point. So now I want to look at another portion of Black Wall Street that you're not familiar with, because we always talk about, the Central Park Five. Donald Trump put a newspaper ad out. Stuff is crazy, right? Because people were talking to me the other day about Biggie and Pac, and they talked to the rapper, I can't remember what that kid's name is, Lil Yachty. And, the reality is, why is it that Biggie and Pac are martyred? Well, it's because they were the first rappers to be killed. First mainstream rappers to be killed. They set a precedent. You see, now we're numb to it. And every other week, Lil Kill Face, Lil Murph Face, Lil Too Long Dread, Lil Doodoo Tunda, they all get killed. Right? Why? Because they have a COLI policy on them from the record label. So the record label kills off Lil Rap Face, who didn't make a bunch of money, maybe locally. Let's use a real case. Young Dolph, Mo 3, who else? Julio, Chinks Drugs, The list goes on, right? And then, what do you know? They just let it go. And they get those policies. And they get the money from those policies. Now, nobody has a problem with that. So that's the same thing that I feel when people are like, oh, but Central Park 5. What about Seneca Village? What about Weeksville? Right? You talk about Tulsa, Oklahoma. There was a full movie called Rosewood, right? And there were so many other quote-unquote Black Wall Streets, but it actually started in New York City. But again, the grand distraction, they push, oh yeah, you guys only had it in Tulsa, Oklahoma. The more you know. So, the location, Seneca Village, which is Central Park, by the way. So that's why I get pissed off about the Central Park 5. Because if there was no erasure of Seneca Village, which was called Africa Town, there would be no ability to be the Central Park 5. Because nobody erased Little Havana, Little Cuba, Little Italy, Chinatown. You've got that in most major metropolitan cities, but you don't have Africa Town. Right? We talk about the Jews. The Jews have ghettos, but what did they do? They said, no, give that to the blacks. Give the blacks the ghetto. Now, let's look at Seneca Village, Central Park. You see, this was located between 82nd and 89th Streets and 7th and 8th Avenues, what is now the west side of Central Park. Now let's look at the stability of this. It was founded in 1825, and it was a thriving community of free Black Americans. And as Blacks, we were so welcoming. Guess what we did? And this is why there's that Irish Black thing. We later allowed Irish immigrants in. By 1855, so 30 years, it had 225 residents. This is just Central Park. 3 churches, 2 schools, and cemeteries. Now, let's look at political power. Because in New York at the time, Black men could only vote if they owned $250 worth of property. Well, Seneca Village had a high concentration of Black landowners, making it a hub of Black political power. Over 50% of Black voters in New York City live there. So next time one of you motherfuckers tells me about fucking Donald Trump writing a letter about 5 motherfuckers, yet we had the power to vote, that got burnt down, and you don't have a problem with that, I'm going to turn you around, bend you over, open your ass cheeks, and put my foot all the way up it with no Vaseline. Because I need to read this to you a second time. Political power. Because according to Dr. Claude Anderson, political power means we got to get our paper right first. Stop voting for Democrats or Republicans. Neither one of them is going to do shit for you. There are a whole bunch of Black people who are not even politically smart. They just wanted to vote for Trump. Well, Trump's about to be out of office. What the fuck are y'all going to do when Trump's out of office in 2028? Who are you going to vote for? Or will you abstain? Stop being fucking dummies. This is why nobody takes Black Americans seriously, including ourselves. We need to get our money right. I'll give you an example. A few years ago, the Hispanic Prosperity Initiative was created. Why? Because a multi-billion-dollar corporation called Goya came to Donald Trump and said, write this bill. Maybe we'll get our people to consider voting for you. Now, in Powernomics, Dr. Claude Anderson, for, I don't know, at least the past 60 years, been like, Negroids. We need to get our money right and buy politicians. But let's continue. So, remember, at the time, Black men could only vote if they owned $250 worth of property. And Seneca Village had a high concentration of Black land owners. But 5 people got tweeted about me. meaning that we were a hub of political power. Over 50%, that means more than half of black voters in New York City lived in Seneca Village. But the Central Park 5. And then you diminish. We don't want to talk about what happened back then. There's a person who has something here. He says, Paige, what's up? Rip to Gladys West, who invented GPS. Gaia lobbied to get her bill passed. Goya lobbied to get their bill passed. Yes, they did. All right? So the displacement. In 1857, the city used eminent domain to seize the land to build Central Park. But the Central Park 5, he did something to 5 people who, at the time, Donald Trump had no particular power. So the people in power imprisoned them. But meanwhile, we always gloss over the fact that they seized this land with more than 50% of landowners who were voters in New York City. They then smeared the village as a shanty town and nasty to justify the theft, despite it being a well-built middle-class area. Very similar like gets talked about black folk today. Oh, these niggas. And what happens is, again, we focus on the few versus the many. Are there a bunch of few black folks who got it all the way fucked up? Absolutely. Are there a bunch of other black folks, just like a bunch of Americans who got it fucked up and don't understand shit? Yes. Because guess what? Statistically, black Americans seem to think white Americans have it together. That's impossible. Let me give you some math. There are approximately, 45 million Americans in America who identify themselves as black. There are approximately 202 million Americans in America who identify themselves as white. Black people get posted as a poster child for government assistance. However, 20% of white Americans' population, which is about 42 to 45 million Americans, are on public assistance. So that 20% of white America is equivalent to 100% of black America. We just don't focus on that. Every story needs a bad guy. Now, the erasure. You see, the village was razed to the ground. For over a century, the history was lost until Roy Rosenzweig and Elizabeth Blackmore published The Park and the People in 1992. And let's share my screen and see if I can do that. All right? And that's this book, The Park and the People, A History of Central Park. Now, it's ironic that this wasn't written by black folk. You can get it for $33. Roy Rosenzweig and Elizabeth Blackmore. So let's look at the praise. Ambitious and adventurous, a surprising and deeply social account of the park's contentious past, a powerful historical resource for thinking about the shape American public spaces have taken. Original and provocative, a deeply felt celebration of the role of the public space. Let's look at what the author says. The late Roy Rosenzweig, professor of history at George Mason University, was the author of 8 Hours for What We Will, Workers and the Leisure in an Industrial City, 1870 to 1920. Elizabeth Blackmore, professor of history at Columbia University, is the author of Manhattan for Rent, 1785 to 1850, also from Cornell. For educators, request an exam or a desk copy. And for more info, this is other info. So let me close that out and I'll go on to the next point in this topic. Okay, close. Actually, I want to, before we go there, I want to go to this screen. Let me share this screen with you guys. Now remember, I got pissed off about this because there's somebody up here who has a whole bunch of followers. His name is Urban Intellectuals. Great brother, got great stuff. But I had the same conversation with him, and I told him I voted for Trump. And this is something I get pissed off about a lot because I'm working financial services. I make a decent living. Black folks always want to be, oh, well, you know, if you're married to a black woman, nigga, yes, I'm married to a black BBW. And yes, she's from the fucking United States. So now let's look at this. Before Central Park, the history of Seneca Village. Before Central Park was created, the landscape along what is now the park's perimeter from West 82nd to West 89th Street was the site of Seneca Village. So I'm going to go to Google. West 82nd to West 89th Street, NYC. We're going to go to maps. Right? And I want to see the street view. Can I do the street view? Yes. Okay. So I'm going to share the street view of this with you guys, just really briefly, because I think this is also important to see. That. Let me share the street view with you. So remember, West 89th, right? What did it say? From West 82nd to West 89th. 7 blocks. 7 fucking blocks. All right, that's not shared. I'm not even going to share that. But 7 blocks. Excuse me. And yes, I'm emotional. So 7 blocks was the site of Seneca Village, a community of predominantly African Americans of whom owned property. By 1855, it consisted of 225 residents, made up of 2/3 of African Americans and 1/3 of Irish immigrants. Excuse me. And a small number of individuals of German descent. One of few African American enclaves at the time. Seneca Village allowed residents to live away from the more built-up sections of downtown Manhattan and escape the unhealthy conditions of racial discrimination they faced there. So it says Seneca Village began in 1825 when landowners in the area, John and Elizabeth Whitehead, subdivided their land and sold it as 200 lots. Andrew Williams, a 25-year-old African-American shoe shiner, bought the first 3 lots for $125. Epiphany Davis, a store clerk, bought 12 lots for $578, and the AMZ Zion Church purchased another 6 lots. From there, a community was born. From 1825 to 1832, the Whiteheads sold about half of their land parcels to other African Americans, or I say blacks. By the early 1830s, there were approximately 10 homes in the village, and it became a thriving black community. Let's move on. Yes, sir, bro. This was crazy, right? So now I want to talk to you about something called Weeksville. See, this is something I used to pass by on the daily. See, I used to live in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. And my brother-in-law used to live in Crown Heights. And so I used to walk from my house in Bed-Stuy to go visit my brother-in-law in Crown Heights. Technically, he's in Flatbush. And I would pass Weeksville all the time, right? Well, you know what I would do? I would go over to my brother's house. We'd watch football, play games, smoke, drink, all that good stuff. Right? And I would see Weeksville. So let's look at the origin of Weeksville. And I'm going to share my screen while I read this to you. So Weeksville was founded in 1838 by James Weeks and Grand Stevedore, a dock worker, just 11 years after slavery ended. 12 years a slave, anybody? Oh, see, y'all don't be knowing where this shit comes from. More people who aren't black know a whole lot more about our history than us. See, this shit is boring. Just like a whole bunch of black folk came up here and told me this insurance shit is boring, Alonzo. When I had my friend Dave Kinder up here, the white man, what's her name? Miss Queen, the black woman, salute to her, no disrespect, but she was like, yeah, we gonna listen to you, Dave. And Dave was like, no, I'm not the person to teach this to y'all. Y'all need to listen to Alonzo. He knows the nuances of the shit y'all go through. Y'all don't want to hear that shit. So, founded in 1838 by James Week and Grant Stevedore, a dock worker, just 11 years after slavery ended in New York, he bought land from the Lefferts family, you know, Lefferts Gardens, to create a purposely free black community. See, y'all don't understand the way this shit works, bro. Y'all should see some of the names of the streets in Brooklyn, New York City, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, New Jersey. Man, listen, this rabbit hole goes deep, but y'all don't want to know that. Self-sufficiency. Now get this. Unlike Seneca Village, which was integrated, Weeksville was intentionally independent. They had their own newspaper, something called the Freedmen's Torchlight, an orphanage, a home for the elderly, and a successful business. Y'all ain't gonna hear that. A safe haven. During the draft riots of 1863, when white mobs attacked black New Yorkers, hundreds of black people fled Manhattan to Weeksville for protection because it was defensible, and black owned. So let's look at rediscovery. It was almost lost to urban sprawl. In 1968, James Hurley and Joan Maynard used an aerial survey to spot the old colonial Hunter Fly roadhouses, which were oddly positioned off the modern street grid. Now, there was preservation success, because when I walk by there now, it's a museum, and the original houses are actually there. And if you live in Brooklyn, you probably don't even care about it, especially none of these YNs. But when are they going to turn into MANs, middle-aged M's, or just a grown-ass man? Right? Once you hit 22, you're supposed to be an OG, right? Unlike Seneca Village, Weeksville was saved. The Heritage Center stands today as a testament to black self-determination. So you see this? Let's see if I can show some photos of it. Where are some photos? Black Queer Legacy. I don't know about that. Collections. Let's look at the collections. This the only photo they have? Collections. Here we go. 5th of July, Weeksville, original history. So they got YouTube videos. I'm not going to play those. You can literally just go to weeksvillesociety.org. Let me put this in the chat for you guys, because I always share information. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're enjoying this content, please hit the like, drop a comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you're made aware every time I release new content. And as always, share this out. I swear to God, ain't nobody giving y'all this information. If I was Dr. Umar, who everybody says is scamming, you would have 600 people in here. Dr. Umar, you're scamming, but he could go for 4 hours and y'all will watch him. If I was Taz Exclusives, the GOAT, who argues with all these men from the Black Manosphere, or if I was Anton Daniels or Corey Holcomb, or if I was the lead attorney, or if I was exposing some of these motherfuckers who ain't gonna do shit for you, but you're gonna super chat the shit out of them, y'all will be up here, oh man, this information is fire. This content is fire. Let me give you donations. Let me do this, that, and the third. Go yuck. sounding goofy as fuck. But I'm giving you actual history. Don't nobody want to show up. Salute to those of y'all who are here. I appreciate it. But fuck the ones who ain't. So the correlating incidents, right? There was the draft riots and the colored orphan asylum. So in July 1863, white working class men, mostly Irish, angry about the Civil War draft, rioted. So those same Irishmen that we allowed to be with us in Seneca Village was like, fuck, we're getting drafted. Oh, because yeah, you didn't know that. That's why I always say there's no such thing as white supremacy, and I'm a self-proclaimed black supremacist, right? Because there's no particularly such thing as white people in America, right? Because they're German American, they're Irish American, they're Italian American, right? The WASP, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, okay, right? Maybe they're UK, right? But also, not every white person is Caucasian or from the Caucasus Mountains, just like not every black person is African American. There are 54 countries in the continent of Africa. What continent? So very much like a Nigerian will say, I'm Nigerian American, right? Or I'm Eritrean American, or I'm Congolese American, right? Now let's continue. So they specifically targeted symbols of black success and benevolence. Well, that's pretty fucked up. We let y'all live on our land. We were all out there with open arms. Shit got fucked up for you from the people who wouldn't allow you to call yourself white. You started rioting. Now they allow you to call yourself white. You ain't got shit to do with us. Right? Because there's always, oh, well, you know, blacks weren't the only ones enslaved. Irish were too. Yeah, we let y'all in our enclaves. And then when they started sending y'all to war, y'all turned around and started fucking us up. Right? So they specifically targeted symbols of black success and benevolence. The mob burned down the colored orphan asylum on 5th Avenue between 43rd and 44th Street, which housed over 200 black children. So let's look at the fact that miraculously, the staff managed to evacuate all the children out of the back door as the mob broke in the front. This event explains the exodus of black wealth from Manhattan to Brooklyn in the late 1800s. Now, if you don't know, what also I find funny, in the 1920s, America was going through the Great Depression, but Harlem was going through the Harlem Renaissance. Funny, huh? So now let's look at the scholarship connection. Let's see if I can find that from our buddy here, Dr. Michael Ralph. I got to Google it. Let me see if I can find a source for his book. Park and the People, The Value of Life. Let's do this. Let me pull up this article by Dr. Michael Ralph. So, let me just pull this up here for us, right? And as you guys know, when I source stuff, I don't source bullshit, right? So as you see here, right, I typed into Google The Value of Life by Michael Ralph, social text /NYU, New York University, .pdf. And what do we have here? Academia.edu. Okay, I'm not going to go through all that, but this is Dr. Michael Ralph, right? Let's see if I can find NYU Gold Webinar, The Value of Life. Dr. Michael Ralph, PhD, right? This is when I always read to you guys, and this is why I keep talking about fucking life insurance until I'm blue in the fucking face. He wrote the article. Let me see if I can find it again. Life in the Midst of Death. Notes on the relationship between slave insurance, life insurance, and disability. Right? So you see this here. Dr. Michael Ralph, PhD. Right? Let me remove this. Right? Let me go back to this. What is this? This is an article I read. This article I sent to Taz exclusive to go years ago. blackfirstmedia@gmail.com. You must not really give a fuck about Black First. Life in the Midst of Death. Notes on the relationship between slave insurance, life insurance, and disability. I promise you this Negro didn't read it, because life insurance is boring. We want generational wealth. And this is why we don't get taken seriously as a people. Shout out to, what is it? Shout out to my man Rael. Right? Because the academia have you confused. Oh, I'm the talented 10th. Let's buy some real estate. Well, the problem is they can take that real estate from you, eminent domain, especially if you don't have the money to lobby against them. We keep talking about the fact that Barack Obama did nothing for us, but we did nothing for Barack Obama. What do I mean? We got out and voted. Hey, who gives a fuck about getting out and voting? Just like I told you, Goya got the Hispanic Prosperity Initiative, a bill signed into law before they did a single vote. You know why? Because they had dollars. Powernomics. Dr. Claude Anderson has been saying this for decades. Dr. Shahrazad Ali will probably back him up. And so as I continue, right? So let's look at an article to cite, right? Because, he has another article, Life in 2015. And remember, I'm citing shit for y'all. Right? So forensics of capital, right? Oh, University of Chicago Press. Damn, this is a black guy who fucking studies life insurance. But meanwhile, I talk to y'all, I don't need no life insurance, I'm a day trader. Shut the fuck up and listen, bro, because I'm telling y'all some real shit. Michael Ralph, Forensics of Capital. As one of Africa's few democracies, Senegal has long been thought of as a leader of moral, political, and economic development on the continent. We tend to assume that any such nation has achieved favorable international standing due to its own merits. In Forensics of Capital, Michael Ralph upends this kind of conventional thinking, showing how Senegal's diplomatic standing was strategically forged in the colonial and post-colonial eras at key periods of its history. Now I'm going to close that out. Let's continue. So his core concept is that he argues that the insurance industry is the hidden hand of slavery. So what Kanye West is telling y'all is true, because we want to be rappers and we want to day trade and we want to buy real estate. Insurance runs shit. Insurance runs shit. Get this, y'all will not go to a bank that doesn't have FDIC. What is FDIC? Federal Deposit Insurance. Well, guess what? Insurance companies have something called RBC that they have to comply with, which is risk-based capital, right? So they have to keep more than 100% of whatever they earn per year, they have to keep aside for in case they become insolvent. So let's say a company earns $100 billion. That means they have to keep an additional $100 billion to the side so that if they stop making money, they can guarantee your money, your life insurance policy, your whole life insurance policy plus the cash value, your term life insurance policy should you die anytime there, your annuity, right? Your mutual fund, the dividends on your whole life insurance participating policy. Oh yeah, this shit's boring. Your disability or paycheck insurance policy. Your dental or vision, because they offer that. Your 401k, your 529, your 403b, your 412e3, your 457. Don't get me going. I put vote to ass. But Ralph argues that the insurance industry is the hidden hand of slavery. So now let's think about this. Professor Michael Ralph teaches us that the valuation of human life didn't start with life insurance for your family. It started with property insurance for slave owners. They calculated how much a slave was worth based on their age, health, and skill. This is called actuarial science. The math of risk and value was perfected on black bodies before it was applied to anyone else. So now when we look at the financial district, we aren't just looking at banks, we're looking at the institutions that turned our ancestors into financial instruments. God, I don't need to go anymore. So let me just see something here. Don't need that. I'm going to just share a couple other things. We've already done that. University of Chicago Press, I've already done that. Cornell University Press. Have I done that already? The Park and the People, yes, I've already done that. The Story of Seneca Village, Weeksville. The Education Product of Complicity. I'm getting ready to close out, folks. I'm getting highly emotional here. But on this, the last day of Black History Month, rock with your boy. Let's really turn this bullshit into generational wealth. I've spoken to many of y'all who be like, yeah, Alonzo, I got that life insurance. Cool. You ain't get the right thing. But something is better than nothing. You know why I tell you didn't get the right thing? Because that's like saying, listen, Michael Jordan is offering a basketball course to teach you how to play basketball. And then you go to Michael Jordan, you say, hey, Michael Jordan, I went to basketball camp. He's going to, okay, well, you didn't learn from me, so, cool. Or better yet, LeBron James. He's a little more of a student of the game, even though he doesn't have all the rings. But LeBron James says, I'm going to teach you how to play basketball. Yeah, I went to the YMCA, and this guy, he used to play basketball. His name is Smush Parker. He played for the Lakers. Anyway, Complicity, How the North Promoted, Prolonged, and Profited from Slavery. This is a book by Ann Farrell, Joe Lang, and Jennifer Frank in 2005. It challenges the misconception that only the South was involved in or profited from slavery. You say it examines what the authors view as a shameful and well-kept secret. It's the critical role played by the North in supporting and profiting from slavery from colonial times until and even after the Civil War. The authors, who are all journals for the Hartford Courant. You know, Hartford, Connecticut is actually the insurance company of the country, insurance capital of the country. That's why the Hartford Insurance Company, the one with the deer, is in Hartford, Connecticut. Now, people say it's Ohio now. I don't think so. It's still Connecticut. Or not the deer, but maybe the buck. Okay. They argue that most Americans have learned only about slavery in the South. As a result, the authors argue that many Americans emerged from school believing that the North and its citizens watched innocently as the institution of slavery took root and thrived across the Mason-Dixon line. It's a little bit of that systemic racism that motherfuckers say don't exist. And if you think not, okay. All right? These are Black history lessons you never got, ladies and gentlemen. These are the types of things you've never learned. These are the type of things that you will never get taught. These are the type of things they will refuse to teach you. Why is my computer bugging? It's not bringing me to my YouTube music channel. Let me close this out. My computer is bugging. Here we go. Why is this suddenly not available in my area? What the fuck is going on? I don't know why not, but here's what I'll do. Why is my whole computer is bugging? Is YouTube bugging? That might be what it is. Oh, my man JT the Pocket Watcher looks like he's going on at 11 tomorrow. So I'll make sure to oh, that guy Ugly Money. He's got 88 people watching him. That Ugly Money. $20,000 a month for that nigga. He ain't teaching you how to do nothing important. And don't get me wrong, it's entertaining. Our boy the Black Authority is live. TBA. He ain't doing nothing for you. Search for Uhuru. He's live. He ain't doing nothing for you. You know he sells insurance too. Oh, say Duke Jackson put him on. He's with World Financial Group, but y'all don't even know that. Despicable. Yeah, okay, my computer must be bugging. Let me do this. Yes, my computer is frozen. Okay, that's what it is. Bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. I can't even end the live stream right now. Let's do like this. Do I have some stuff that's open that's not responding? Wow. I gotta delete mad stuff off of my desktop. Let me see something here. Task Manager. Okay, let's not do that. I know sometimes StreamYard does take up a lot of there we go. Let's close this out. It takes up a lot of memory. Here we go. There we go. I don't know why it was freezing, but my computer was straight freezing. So let's do like this. Let's stop sharing that. And we're going to close out these windows and see if my music page comes on now. What the flocka? Okay, I don't know why YouTube is bugging. It happens like that though sometimes. So I hope y'all are still here. There we go. There you go. I'll just do it like this. No, this is saying luxury. I don't see where my music went. Alright, screw it. No, that's not it. Oy vey, give me 1 second, Shell. My computer is, or I shouldn't say my computer, but YouTube is acting up. What the freak is the name of this thing? Show more. YouTube music. Yeah, why is this bugging? Vivo. You know what? Here's what we're going to do. We are going to end this out on what is the name of that creator? Looks like I had a bunch of text messages here. You know, looks like a bunch of people texted that they are responding to stuff. This here. And so let me just pull that guy up. And we'll play any one of his joints at this point because I am ready to go. And I am going to go ahead and let's just do like this. No, that's not it. There we go. Actually, that's almost it, but that's not it. Here we go. There we go. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was it for today. That was that Black History lesson that you were never taught. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you hit that like, drop a comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you're made aware every time I release new content. And as always, share, share, share. Lastly, to contribute to channel growth or to schedule an appointment with a licensed financial professional, the links are in the description of this video. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, wipe ass. Work in progress every day and see success. Wipe ass. Work in progress every day and see success. Wipe ass. Work in progress every day and see success. And remember, folks, when people challenge you, they don't challenge you to challenge you, but they challenge you to challenge you. Accept the challenge. Salute.